Welcome everyone to the Champion the Gifted Child talk show part 2. I'm here with Steph Beltier. She's a happiness coach, and her mission is to enable people to come up with inner resources to create a highest level of life. And so I'm so excited because in the first part of this show, we talked about cultivating optimism and, a growth mindset for our gifted kids. This part is going to be regulating emotion. What is stress? How can we help our gifted children regulate emotion? So I'm so excited. Thank you, Steph, for being with us. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. And stress is my favorite topic.
Oh, and we need insight on this. So, stress, emotional regulation. How can we help our gifted child? It's just first. Let me ask you, what happens in the brain and in the body when we are experiencing stress? So, what is stress and what happens?
Okay. So, stress is an unconscious and automatic response of our nervous system, our automatic nervous system. This system regulates our body. It's a magical piece of equipment that actually does fabulous work in the background. We never have to think about it. For example, you start running and your heart beats faster. You breathe faster. It allows your lungs to breathe. It takes care of your digestive system. You know, you cut your finger, it does everything that it needs to do so that your body heals itself. So this automatic nervous system runs our body basically. And the stress response, what we also know as the fight or flight, is unconscious. So that trigger, something happens, and it's like in our brain, we've got an alarm system that picks up a stress trigger, picks up a danger or a threat, and bang, tips us into fight or flight. And what happens is that when we are in this fight or flight stress mode, the only thing we need is energy. Okay? And as fight or flight means, basically we need to run to save our lives, or we need to fight. This is a very primal inheritance of our system that we have. So basically, when we're in stress, a flood of hormones and neurotransmitters are being released into our brain and our body. And this includes adrenaline and cortisol. When we're stressed, we have all these chemicals inside our body that are here to give us loads of energy. And because the system is very clever, what it does at the same time, so that you get the best energy possible, it also shuts down a lot of other body functions that are not needed at this very moment. For example, when you're under a lot of stress, and I'm giving an explanation for an adult here, right? But when you're under a lot of stress, all this adrenaline and cortisol, and your body needs to fight or to run away, your prefrontal cortex, all the energy is diverted from your prefrontal cortex. In other words, your decision making is very badly impaired. Right? Your digestive system slows down. So I think you mentioned earlier on that I work with teenagers, helping them manage stress to perform better at exams, because what happens is that when kids go to exams, they might know their topic perfectly well. Then they arrive at their desk, they're super stressed, loads of adrenaline and cortisol, and their energy is diverted from their prefrontal cortex, and they don't have the energy to make a decision or to start thinking about a solution, go into their working memory, pick up some information there, come back, and then find the answer. It's actually stress that is preventing them from basically performing in exams. So you see, this stress thing is an unconscious response of our system when it picks up a threat. The thing is with our system is that, back in the day, millions of years ago, the threat was a tiger behind a rock, and we really had to save our lives. But today, this stress for our kids could be a friend who's very unpleasant with them in the playground. It could be a teacher that It could be being worried about someone who's bullying them at school. It could be being worried about not fitting in the classroom. It could be, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So it can be quite tough for children to regulate themselves and to be quite rational in their approach, because this stress response is totally throwing their cognitive behaviors, if you know what I mean.
And it's dramatic. It's really bad that we're asking them to self-regulate in the moment. So in the moment is when we're expecting them to self-regulate, when you just explained that, you know, the prefrontal cortex is not in command and they're just simply not able to do it, right? And it's so sad. That's what we're expecting of them, right? This right then and there, right? To regulate, to self-regulate, and you know, their physiology, their neurobiology is just not there, right? Because of that stress, right? That they're feeling.
So you know, it's really unfair to expect our kids to regulate themselves when we ourselves are not capable of doing this. And secondly, you know, children, the part of their brain that is the rational part of their brain, you know, the thinking, the emotion regulation, the creativity, keeps on developing up until they're 25 years old.
Thank you for saying that.
So all of this is not entirely in place.
Thank you for saying that.
We are dealing with things exactly the same situation with a different experience, with a different perspective of things, but also we don't have the same tools yet.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? And then the other thing is that what you said, that we're basically losing our feel-good hormones, the good juice, right? The way you call it, and then we're flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, and this is the moment when we expect our kids to just keep it together. That's insane, right? Physiologically, not humanly possible, right?
No, it's not possible. And you know what I find quite actually interesting is that smaller kids, you know, I'd say kids in the age of throwing tantrums, I'm not surprised they throw tantrums, right? They are teaching fight or flight. They've got all this adrenaline into their body. They are not voluntarily rolling themselves on the floor, kicking the floor, or worst case scenario, you know, hitting their with a pan or with a stick. It's not voluntary at all. It's just that the making is not working, number one. And number two, they have all this adrenaline inside their body that they need to use. The only way to use it is by actually having physical activity.
This is huge. This is an aha moment, I hope, for everyone, because when the child is in that throwing that tantrum, what do we instinctively do, or what will we taught to do, is just to restrain them, right? And that's not the right thing to do, right? Like preventing them from throwing out that energy is not the right thing to do. So I guess you have 3 phases to help us out, right? You're suggesting so for to help with emotional regulation, the first phase is that, right? It's letting physical movement happen to, right?
It's it's about, you know, absolutely. They need to get rid of this adrenaline. So as long as they're not hurting themselves, nor hurting someone else, let them hit the floor, let them yell. They need to use that extra energy that they have. And in any case, when a kid is in that phase of, you know, it's actually like a massive stress. It's a stress response for them, right? Remember that the cognitive functions don't work. You can just try to calm them down by talking them into doing something or into stopping. They do not understand.
Thank you for saying that.
So yes, number one, let them do what it is that they need to do, as long as they don't hurt themselves and they're not hurting anybody else. And then number two, I'd say interrupt the pattern. Don't go with the pattern. And I want to smile when I say that, because, oh my God, I think back about my kids' tantrum, and I so did the wrong thing for so many years. Because I didn't know these tips when they were little, you know. And I think the second thing is about interrupting the pattern. So first of all, physiology, yes, let them express. And number two, bring their attention to something else. And calm them and heal, and then you can do your parenting. You can do the learning piece with them. You can do the understanding and the talking. There is no point in trying to communicate with a kid who is in the middle of a tantrum. The information is not going through. You might win the battle because, you know, your child might give up, but your child will not have learned anything. So when I talk about interrupting the pattern, is bringing their attention on something else, letting them do physically what they have to do, and then, that works really well with smaller kids. Bring their attention to a butterfly, or ask them to describe something very precisely, or ask them a question that requires for them to think, and because they can't think and they're interested in the question, they are going to have to interrupt this fight or flight response that they have in their brain and in their body. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's exactly, I think sometimes we dwell in that situation because we're so upset ourselves. We're not able to take that step away. And your exercise is amazing. Actually, describe something or notice something, or just to get them to think about something else, right? Disrupt that pattern. So that's powerful. That's really, and then we can have our retrospect coaching session, right? Then when they're calm is when we can really teach and coach and that's powerful. Sometimes we jump in, it's a dance, right? We don't give them the time.
Yes, that's absolutely what we do. So yes, interrupt the pattern. And sometimes, depending on the upset and on the situation, kids will be able to flip like that into another state. That's quite interesting, actually, how, it could be the end of the world 1 second, and the second after, woo, suddenly, they're back to their happy self. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes they can be very deeply upset about something. And there is an activity, a tool, a practice that I use with adults all the time. I use it with my private clients. I use it a lot in the workplace when I work with executives who are under a lot of stress. It's changing the way we breathe. So
I like that.
Our breath is shaped by our emotions. So when we are in stress, when kids are distressed, when they're upset, the breathing pattern changes. But what's amazing with the breath is that when we consciously change the way we're breathing, we're actually regulating our emotions. And especially on the exhalation. When we lengthen and we slow down the exhalation, we activate the vagal nerve. It's the longest nerve in our body. The vagal nerve starts here at the brain, travels in 3 branches all the way to our belly, touches every single one of our vital organs. And it is a nerve that is key in the regulation of our emotions.
Okay. What's the name of the nerve again?
The vagus nerve.
Ah, okay. Wow. Okay. And just breathing helps in that case?
Breathing, yes. So the breathing is a bit, okay. So there is a way of breathing, okay? But for kids, we've got to make it easy, right? So, as adults, when we're upset, usually we tell each other, take a deep breath. You'll feel better. But what happens is that when we're in fight or flight, when we're stressed, take a deep breath looks like that.
Yeah, I just did that.
We're breathing from the top of our chest, right?
I just did that.
80% of people breathe from there. But our lungs are designed to breathe through the diaphragm, okay? So that muscle we have on top of our abdominals. So we should be breathing through the belly. When we breathe in, we expand the belly, and the diaphragm comes down. And because the lungs don't really have muscles to breathe, right? they breathe through the diaphragm, and it works a little bit like a Hoover. So when it comes down, the air comes in the lungs. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And when we use the diaphragm, we use our entire lung capacity. And as a result, we breathe much slower and much deeper. And only breathing 2-3 minutes will actually start repairing our body and our mind from the degrading effect of stress or of upset or of anxiety. So for kids, breathing vertically is very difficult to explain. Expand your belly on the breath in, and it's boring. They don't like it. So my trick for kids is when there's been a massive upset, you've managed to let them express physically what they needed to express. You've broken the pattern, you've interrupted the pattern. Then ask them to lie down and play a breathing game. So tell them that, I don't know, maybe use a soft toy and put a soft toy on their belly. And ask them to breathe. And as they breathe in, make it move, make the soft toy go up. And as they breathe out, see it come down. And just a few breaths like that will really relax the entire system. And so within 3 minutes of that type of breath, what happens in the body is that the cognitive and the thinking capacity, the analytic capacity, start being energized again. And that's when kids can relax and they can hear you. They can have a conversation and they can understand. Your message will start going through. And that's when your parenting can take place, not before that.
This is amazing. And you said 2 to 3 minutes. So, like for very busy parents, there's hope that we could really provide effective, simple steps, help our child in 2 to 3 minutes to just get into a completely different mindset and, learning how to self-regulate and getting coping mechanisms that work for them, that they can learn early on. So that's amazing.
There is a lot of research that shows that in 3 minutes, you start getting the awesome juice, being released. And you know what? When you do that, put your hand on your child's belly, give them a little cuddle, because that will help release even more oxytocin and make them feel good and make them want to bond and make them want to share with you as well.
That's amazing. This is amazing stuff. I love that. And so allowing movement, then calming down, and then parenting can take place, right? In that order, right? Is your advice?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. We do so many things wrong. It's amazing.
But you know what is so funny, Lawrence, is that this doesn't apply only to children. It works with adults as well. If you think about, I don't know, one time you had an argument with someone, people can't hear each other because they're in stress, they're in upset. So it is about taking a deep breath in order to be able to step back, to recover the cognitive functions, and then be able to communicate. So.
Wow, this is amazing. This is so amazing. It's how would you say, based on the levels of stress, like, do you extend the breathing or do you start really slow and short amount of mindfulness exercise to it, incorporating little by little in their day-to-day?
With adults, I do specific breathing techniques, but not everybody's capable of doing them, to be very honest. I think with kids, I would keep it very simple. Because, and again, there's a lot of scientific research about it. As soon as you start paying attention to your breathing rhythm, just paying attention and consciously breathing, by default, the breathing rhythm will slow down. So it's fine.
Oh.
It's fine. You don't even have to tell them to change anything. Just put your hand on your belly and feel your belly move. Wow, it's expanding because all the air is coming in. Wow, it's deflating and your belly button is going to touch your spine. Or maybe have a soft toy there and, making it playful. They don't really have to consciously change anything in their breathing pattern. It will do its job, because when we're lying down, and please, moms, try the exercise when you go to bed tonight. Before you lie down, take a deep breath in, notice what's happening in your body. Very often we're going to start, when we take a breath in vertically, we're going to move the shoulders up and down because we're breathing all here, we're all under stress. But when you lie down in bed, you will notice that you breathe with your belly. There's no other way to do it. And this is the breath that is healing us.
Wonderful. This is good stuff, Steph. Thank you so much. So thanks for the insight. Let me ask you, if our community wanted to reach out to you, I know you you are the head of the happiness-society.com, but where can we find you to go deeper and just learn a little bit more about all those techniques?
Okay, so yeah, you can find me on the happiness-society.com. Anything and everything related to happiness. You can find me on Facebook. I have a group called the Happiness Revolution, where I share a lot of exercises, strategies, techniques, and some insightful articles that I find here and there about the science of happiness. And all this, you know, I'm a great believer that time is the most precious currency that we will have. So I'm all about making small changes that make a big impact. So yeah, on the happiness revolution, and then on the divorce business, because divorce is the second most stressful of life events after the death of a loved one, and because divorce is not only self-stress, personal stress, it has such a ripple effect on our children. I've got a separate business especially for that, and that you can find me on stephpeltier.com.
Nice, nice. I'm so excited for that and for the tips you shared with our community. On behalf of our community, I want to extend a big, huge, grateful thank you.
Thank you very much.
My mindfulness and gratefulness, taking that moment to say thank you, and very grateful for you. And I'll be sure to add all the info in the comments. And it's just been wonderful. Discovering simple things that really can have a huge impact on our child's life. And so I'm so excited for those small actionable steps you just shared with us. I'm so excited for that. So thank you so much.
Pleasure. And I'll keep an eye on the comments as well. If any of you have questions, if you allow me, Lawrence, I'll share some answers with everybody.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, yes, as always, gift moms, put in emojis, comments below. Let's hear your feedback and your thoughts. We love to hear your thoughts. And I think we can close this wonderful seminar. I feel like I've had so many good tips, actionable tips out of an hour that I'm absolutely so grateful. And I'll try the breathing exercise, and that's my challenge to you gift moms, to try one thing Steph talked about today. I'm putting notes and I'll putting all the reference, but let's try some things and experiment and see what works. So I'm so excited for this. I'm excited for you. And thank you again, Steph. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Real pleasure.
Awesome. Speak with everyone very soon. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.